Today we're in New Orleans, Louisiana, where designer and writer Sara Ruffin Costello has reimagined an 1868 historic home into something entirely her own.
The whole reason that we were so mesmerized by this house, when we walked in the front door, we saw this trellis at the end of the hall, and I was like, Lord have mercy, we are in the South. So it was in really bad shape. We had to take it off and redo it.
A former magazine editor and the founding creative director of Domino, Sara helped shape how people think about design. These days, she channels that same creativity into interiors and boutique hotels, including the beloved Chloe Hotel here in New Orleans.
If you want to just quickly distill my style pyramid, at the base, I'm classic, I'm Virginia, I'm old school, a little lazy. So that is reflected in every single room in this house.
When she first stepped inside this house, it was filled with character and stories. There's a bullet still lodged in a mirror from an old movie filmed here, and an auctioned painting that's made its way through her circle of New Orleans friends now hangs on the wall.
The mirror came with the house. I think it'll stay with the house for eternity. They've had lots of movies filmed here, and that bullet shot came from a movie called The Mechanic.
Her approach is easy and instinctive, mixing old world architecture with modern playful touches. A ping-pong table doubles as a dining table. Art fills every surface, and the whole space feels as alive as the city around it.
This is our dining room, which we put a ping-pong table in, and ping pong table is very flexible. It can be a dining table, it can be an Amazon shipping center, which it is actually most of the time.
Many lives have passed through this home, but today it reflects Sara's world, creative, layered, and unapologetically original. To watch Sara's full episode ad-free, be sure to scan the QR code on screen or click the join button below. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. I'm Allison Kenworthy, the founder of Homeworthy, and we take you inside the world's most beautifully decorated homes and introduce you to the brilliant people who live there.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Liz Lang. Welcome to Grey Gardens.
Click the join button below to access all of our latest episodes ad-free and watch extended cuts of this and other homes, opening the doors to new rooms and exclusive content featuring our beloved hosts.
I can't wait to see, I'm so excited.
And if you're looking to shop items inspired by this and other Homeworthy tastemakers, be sure to use the product links below or scan the QR code on screen to find fabulous furniture, coffee table books, and accessories that can transform your house into a home.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Sara. Welcome to my home in New Orleans. Let's hang. Hey, I'm Sara Costello. I'm a hotel designer. I live in New Orleans, and welcome to my home. So we moved here from New York City about 13 years ago, and we didn't mean to move here. It happened to us. The house grabbed us. We were visiting friends. We were down here for Mardi Gras, I think, from New York, and a good friend of ours, Ricky Lemon, who is a real estate agent, was giving us just a fun tour around the Garden District. And as real estates are often so wily and clever, he did have keys to several properties. And we had no intention of moving to New Orleans, but then we walked into this house, and it's like the universe wanted us to move here. We got back on the flight back to New York, and we couldn't stop talking about it and imagining, and then spent the next year sort of manifesting, and we made it happen. And then all of a sudden, we find ourselves, from the far north to the far south. It was a really funny transition. And the house, I think, just grabbed us and wouldn't let go. We couldn't shake it. So we remade our lives down here in New Orleans and just kind of figured it out. 13 years later, the kids have grown up here. I feel like I'm going to be buried in this house. I love it. I love walking around the neighborhood. New Orleans has given us so much. We feel lucky. So in particular, the house spoke to us, first of all, because it's historic. It was built in 1868 and by a famous architect called Henry Howard here. He's done millions of houses in the neighborhood. And just the bones of the house, the tall ceilings, the moldings, the incredible history. And when we dug deeper, we found out that only 4 families had lived here, since 1868. That's wild. We are the 4th. And I just was like, wait a second, that means nobody wanted to leave. So, that tells you something when the house isn't being turned over to new families over and over and over. So we've been visited by so many various family members who used to live here and friends who experienced this house, whether it was a party or getting married on the front porch or like first kiss, by the pool. And in fact, one lady was telling me about her first kiss over on the side porch, and she basically reenacted the whole thing for me. People have memories deeply in this house. In fact, in the attic, there are still Bob Dylan quotes from the kids of the previous owners. Like the whole thing is graffitied in Bob Dylan quotes. I guess that was their hangout. Like the garage was used as a, like an opium den. No longer, but it's got quite a history. I think that's what I love most about living here in New Orleans. You're surrounded by history and you're in a historic house and you got to deal with that. And when I say you have to deal with that, I mean there's a lot of windows that don't close all the way. Sometimes it rains inside. There's a vine growing in the kitchen inexplicably. It's not outside, it's inside the walls and it is growing into my kitchen. We do like it. You gotta live with roaches, termites, hurricanes, and your house has to be kind of like ready for all those end of days things. So here we are in the formal living room. It's actually really large. It's the biggest room in the house, and it's so big that we had to divide it into 3 kind of living areas. So to the right, this is music and homework. The best thing about this room is that we just pop out this door and dive directly into the pool. It's heavenly. This is kind of a little nod to my my New York life, a little chrome and plastic and modern, mid-century. And then I really like to anchor rooms with something sculptural and surprising. And my husband found this. It's like a Picasso maquette of a giant sculpture he made in Chicago. And we just love it. It's really cool. And it's this just draws the eye. It's like a sight line from the end of the room all the way down to this end, and like a nice little exclamation point. As we flow to the middle of the room, we are in the kind of conversation pit zone. And I had this room arranged differently, kind of geared towards looking at the fireplace. And I could only seat like 6 people in here. It drove me crazy. People would be pulling up chairs and we'd all be sitting around like a campfire. It was super weird and dysfunctional. 2 thumbs down. So we moved everything around, kind of flanking the fireplace with this little banquette over here. And then we popped in 2 bookcases over here. And now we can fit, sometimes I've had 20 people all gathered around here, perched in different places. And that was really important for me, to be able to fit a lot of people in this room at one time. So this came with the house. This is a John Dickinson table. who I love. He's one of my heroes. So that also felt like some sign from the universe that the house wanted us. The mirror came with the house. I think it'll stay with the house for eternity. They've had lots of movies film here, and that bullet shot came from a movie called The Mechanic. Fun fact. The ceilings are 14 feet tall, and that's kind of the norm for New Orleans, and something to do with efficient airflow and the heat rises. The medallions at either end, we had to repair those, but those are obviously like the most delicious whipped cream froth fantasy. I love them. And we put these Noguchi lanterns, the largest ones you can get, at either end of the room. And I'll never forget, we had this party, and one of the sort of grand dames was like, I can't believe y'all are living in here like this with balloons in the living room. Whatever. And we thought that was hysterical. Anyway, the art is always changing. My husband is a photographer and also a curator. So we like to move stuff around, try new things out. We just found this piece in Guatemala. His name is Carlos Merida. I love it. Kind of a 60s geometric. And this sofa, you know how you can obsess over what fabric to pick. I've long been admiring stripes on the bias. It feels like the 70s to me. It feels like Debbie Harry or something. I feel like it was an outfit she wore at CBGB's. I remember a dress on the bias. Maybe it was a cover of a Blondie album. Anyway, I wanted a sofa like that. I wanted something a little rad, something like that you haven't seen a lot of. And that's another big touchstone for me is, finding things that are super original, which obviously makes my life really hard because I have to keep looking. We have to talk about these bookcases. I copied them completely from my friend Tom Delavan in New York, who I used to work with at Domino, and also at the New York Times. And Tom, I love you. You have the best taste, and they look great in New Orleans, but I'm giving you full credit. It looks weirdly like I have arranged my books here by color, which is something I do not like. It just so happens weirdly, like this is the decorating section, and why do decorators love blue books? I don't know. That's my husband's book he shot for Julia Reed. This is a book I wrote for Hunt Sloanum, a book I wrote for Jeffrey Bill Huber, my Domino life. This is my writing life. But let the record show they are not arranged by color. That just weirdly happened. Down here, let me show you this. This is more sort of art reference books and reading books. Let's see what we have in here. We have, oh my God, a paperback. That's not very formal, is it? I feel like these should be hidden, but this is a great book. It's on Frank Lloyd Wright. It's called Loving Frank. I friggin' love this book. Read it. I don't think there's anything too embarrassing in here. Oh, my husband thought that was pretty funny, to put the Penthouse art book next to the Holy Bible. But generally speaking, people come in here and they peruse the books, and it's like a little breadcrumb trail of who lives here. Like, what are they into? Oh my God, A Difficult Woman, Lillian Hellman, great book. A Gentleman in Moscow. It's just a touchstone for, like, who someone is, little window into their soul. I love books. So this is the far end of the formal living room, and I put my desk in here, and this insane monster flat file collection, which is, we had retrofitted to hold albums for the record player, these two drawers, and then All of these other drawers are lots of fun things. This is like all my postcards. I think we have feathers and money, and then all my work stuff is in here. This I couldn't live without. The printer is up in here. It's kind of a game changer. I feel like a dentist. I'll like type something up and I'll be like, hold up, and here's the printout. It's amazing. So this is the headquarters of Sara Ruffin Costello Industries, and I do all my decorating here. And one cool thing I wanted to share with you is something I do with all my clients and all my jobs is I make a style pyramid. And it's like, if you think of a pyramid with a base and a top, so it's a base level and then next level, next level, next level. It's 4 different levels. At the base, that is the default of who you are. That's kind of how you normally are. And I apply that to a room. So if you want to just quickly distill my style pyramid, at the base, I'm classic, I'm Virginia, I'm old school, I'm a little lazy. So that is reflected in every single room in this house. On the second level of my style pyramid, I think that is my New York side. It's like a little sexier, a little more glamorous, a little bit of red and pink. And there's maybe like a little bit of a maximalist thing there, even though at my base, I'm actually a minimalist. Those two things are always fighting each other. The third level up on the pyramid is kind of like a little trendy, you know, like my head will turn for a trend, but I have to fight that all the time because I don't want to be too trendy. I hate that. But like, show me a curvy sofa and I might get it. I fall for trends. And I'm definitely irreverent, you know, I'm not too serious about anything, except when I'm deadly serious about everything. At the top of my pyramid, I feel like what's most important to me is this sense of personal life's journey narrative, like the stuff that's really important. And for me, that's the books that are all over the house. That's my kids' drawings. That's my husband's artwork. Art in general, that expression, all of those things at the top of my pyramid, they animate the house. That's what is the oxygen. You know, the rest of the stuff is practical, comfort, lighting. I feel like lighting is, you know, lands in my New York glamour thing. That part of my pyramid, I like an amber, sexy light. I don't like a bright 3,000 watt light. Some people do. Anyway, I love the style pyramid. It really helps me make informed choices when I'm purchasing or when I'm arranging or when I just need to like touch back to what is the essence of this job. I would describe my sense of style as it's kind of old world, artistic, modern, all of these things that are like two sides of the same coin. You know, it's traditional, but it's contemporary. It's old world, but it's modern. There's certainly like elements of my New York life that have seeped in, kind of that apartment living vibe. And then of course, since being down here, we've incorporated a lot of like French antiques and a general southernness, which is, I could describe as like sort of, you know, jute rugs, fans, palm leaves, a breeziness, like we open all the doors. And I think the top note of my decorating style is that it might not look overly decorated. I'm the kind of person that needs it to feel super comfortable when people walk in and when they sit down. There is no room that we don't use. We use every single inch of every single room. So now we're in the entrance hall. This is where my dad is. Just kidding. That's just a big urn. This, I want you to see the staircase. It's exceptional. So Henry Howard, the architect, most houses have a staircase in the middle, center hall, staircase, rooms on either side. Henry Howard kind of invented this tucked in staircase concept where you walk in the front door and you don't necessarily see the staircase. It's off to the side and becomes almost a feature or a room of its own. And I can't imagine, at the time, building these spiral staircases would be so expensive to do today. It's really nice because you capture the whole width of the hallway for living, and the stairs off to the side. And when I was working on the Chloe Hotel here in New Orleans, that is a much more Victorian vibe. I started to really get into small notes of Victorian, and I picked up this screen somewhere along the way. And I just really like it, although it is not in my style pyramid. So something else funny, lights on the floor. I picked that up in my Domino days. We used to put these globes on the floor all the time, and it just made interesting levels of lighting. If you have something low, medium, and high, just creates a little more lighting interest. And the whole reason that we were so mesmerized by this house, when we walked in the front door, we saw this trellis at the end of the hall. And I was like, Lord have mercy, we are in the South. So it was in really bad shape. We had to take it off and redo it. And if you step into my trellis room, you can see we added these Moorish arches at either end. And I ripped off that idea as well from a man named Furlow Gatewood, who made the most insane trellis rooms with Moorish arches. Here's my little chintz explosion. It was the only place I was allowed to put chintz in the entire house. We contained it in the trellis room, which seems super appropriate. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. So I spent the first part of my life in Richmond, Virginia, and that has really informed my kind of stronger classic side, my Virginia side. It's a little, stern and a lot of brick. And I do gravitate towards this stern American furniture that's very masculine. And my mother was a part-time decorator, so I think I got a lot of my expression from her. And then I moved to New York after that and worked in magazines for a long time. We started Domino magazine. I don't know if you guys remember that one. And I worked at various other magazines, and I wrote for the Wall Street Journal. I had a column, in fact, called Free Decorator at the Wall Street Journal. And that's where I started getting calls randomly from people to help them decorate their house. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but we'll just wing it. I think that's where this career in decorating, this sideline career in decorating, actually launched. Totally fake it till you make it. Didn't know what I was doing. Fun hack, I found that you could hide a myriad of mistakes by hanging art. Once you put the art on the walls, it's like everything comes together. And slowly the decorating side started to take over the writing side, and it just eclipsed, it got much bigger. And here in New Orleans, a friend asked me to do a hotel he was working on called the Chloe. So that was my first foray into hospitality. And that's a whole different can of worms. It's like, you're on a budget. It's a little bit corporate. Things have to be super practical. You have to think about, wear and tear big time. So it's a whole different challenge. So I've really enjoyed the hotel decorating side of things. We're about to open another Chloe in Nashville, and I think we'll see what keeps happening. The chapters continue to amaze me. There's always something new around the corner. This is our dining room, which we put a ping pong table in, and ping pong table is very flexible. It can be a dining table, it can be an Amazon shipping center, which it is actually most of the time, or we play ping pong here. And this is just a fantastic room where we all gather and hang out and play games and stuff. Oh, a really fun story about the art in here. So this room really lent itself to like, I don't know, feeling very old world. And that picture up there, my husband was bidding on it at auction, and 2 other people were bidding on it at the same time. Turns out those 2 other people were 2 of our best friends, Don Dudeau and John D. Gray. And when they all found out that they had bid each other up, they decided to buy the picture together. And it now spends about 1.5 years at each of our houses. So right now it's with us, and it's called the Society of the Boers. And it's either B-O-O-R-S, but I think it's more like B-O-R-E-S. Anyway, we get together for these dinners, and there's this great passing over of the picture. And we brought our friend Bronson to one of these Society of the Boers dinners, and he showed up with this boar's head, actual boar's head, which now accompanies the painting to everyone's house. That's just classic New Orleans stuff right there. So in here, we have what would have been a more formal library, but we've turned it into sort of a 70s conversation pit with a gigantic TV. This is where we watch movies and chill. And of course, there are more books everywhere. These are my favorite books in here, more so. I feel like every one of them is a friend. Often go back and reread. 1876 by Gore Vidal up there. Excellent. This conversation pit sofa was one of those trends I fell for a couple years ago. And I gotta say, I can't quit it. I love it. And then onward to the kitchen. Sadly, this antler chandelier broke. Some people were dancing on the table and knocked into it. And fortunately, it remained intact. But I kind of like the new way it looks. Anyway, this is our wall of shame. And it's really our hall of fame, not wall of shame. But these are just family pictures and, personal stuff. This island was an obsession of mine. I saw it in a showroom in New York from Bull Top, and we brought it in. And I think our architect thought we were crazy. He'd never seen anything so modern like that. But I do like the mix of this kind of country aesthetic, this New Orleans country aesthetic with the red fridge over here that seems sort of old fashioned, along with the very sleek, modern Bull Top kitchen island. This is where we retire to after a serious meal. We like to come sit out here and chill on the sofa. And nobody here smokes, but aren't these cute ashtrays? I found it in Guatemala. I love it. And finally, this is great for morning coffee, this little area on the front porch, and watching all the people who walk and jog in front. So we did a light reno, which turned out to be not that light, but basically the reason that we were so bewitched by this historic house is that it had not been redone. It hadn't been torn up. It hadn't been somebody else's vision of, an updated version of a historic house. It was really, really as was. So that was super appealing. And we didn't do much except repair, like crazy ceiling medallions that all needed to be replastered. And luckily there's a 5-generation family, the Poirets, who specialize in plaster in these old houses. So little fun things like that. And then of course we had to add more bathrooms and closets upstairs. But besides that, we didn't really change much. We gave ourselves a new kitchen, but it's in the same footprint, and we didn't go too crazy. The best compliments I've gotten, and by the way, all the spaces I design are like very different from each other. That's one thing I will say is I don't, you're not going to go in and be like, oh, did Sara Costello do this? I can tell she was here. You just would have no idea. And I think that's because I am deeply involved with the client. It's what they want, really. It's their vision, and I will just guide them there. And when it comes to hotels, I like to express them via time and place. So it really is dependent on what the building is and where it is. And then that speaks to me. And then that's what we express. But the best compliment I've ever gotten about any of my work is like, oh, wow, this looks effortless. And I'm like, if you knew how uneffortless all this is. So if you can make it look like you didn't try too hard, but you killed yourself, then I think you're doing something right. Come on, let's go outside. This is our little, kind of our cactus garden, an aloe garden, and another potential hangout area. So this is really needs to be cleaned up. Geez, but those are succulents, cactus, aloe. And I love sitting in this chair, this spring chair, and looking at the trellis through there at night. It's super sexy. Again, another one of my favorite little terracotta ashtrays from Luna Zora in Guatemala. This is a cool rock my husband brought back from a photo shoot. He's always doing stuff like that. So down here we have this little area where we like to do fall dinners down here, except that bench broke. So we're not doing any fall dinners at the moment until I get a new bench. And then down here is this kind of formal parterre situation where we grow herbs and, just sort of it's a kitchen garden, more formal. This is our little guy, our patron saint of the garden, pool shed. Oh, that's about to turn into a sauna. You'll have to come back and see that. So this is the pool, conveniently located very close to the house, and it's salt water. So my friend Lorraine gave me those pool toys after she stayed here for a couple days, and I am so grateful. We had no pool toys. That's a hot tub. We are in it every day, surprisingly. Welcome to the secret garden. This is where, if it's too much inside, you can escape out here. And we have a fountain that desperately needs to be cleaned. We have a monster fan palm tree here, and above that a monster live oak, which I feel like they're watching over the house. I love them. And we do have chickens that live in there. Their door is open. I don't know where they are, but they're hiding somewhere. I was really surprised. I mean, I knew New Orleans was a small town. There are, I think it's 350,000 people living here. I mean, it almost feels like a college campus. Like your friend group, there's about 5,000 people that you know and run into all over the place. But you have something like 14 million tourists coming in every year. So that's like the population of New York. So it's this incredibly small college campus that feels like New York. It's the strangest combination of things. So as small as it is, you never feel suffocated. There's always like fresh meat. And I love it that New Orleans is a city that people love to come to. So we always get visitors and house guests. And it's like, what news do you bring from afar? It's a port city. So you're getting a lot of, new information all the time. Oh my gosh, what does the word home mean to me? Well, my iPhone keeps telling me, it'll say my address, and then it'll say, you are home now. And in this weird way, it's like, that kind of speaks to me. Like, wherever you are is your home. Like, wherever your body is your home. So I kind of do walk through life like that a little bit. Wherever I am is where home is. Homeworthy, I loved hanging with y'all. Until next time, bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.